Hey! Oh, come on, you should have stayed back home.
Yeah, I realized that on the way here.
Yeah, come on, just a minute.
It's okay.
Just take it easy.
Anything I need to do?
No. That's everything will
Corner somewhere?
Yeah. Just, lie down, relaxing. If you have the energy for that, can you check, keep an eye on our group chat, just to make sure that everything is okay. What? We don't need all this. Oh wow. Hey, is it okay? I brought these already if people want to borrow.
Those are not mine.
These, yeah, these.
That's for program.
Did you pay? But you paid for this. Okay, cool. You're a nice guy. Ah, okay.
Just outside this, so it's like a tournament.
I don't know if you can access that door. Let me see if I can use mine. This one.
And then.
Yeah, take a right, straight down the corridor on your left. There's like a kitchen area.
Okay.
You can't miss that. No, there's no one there. Yeah. Right. Can you check if the stream works actually?
Sure.
I think it should be okay. And there's like a kitchen area if you want some tea or...
I have beverages in there.
Oh, okay.
Basically, I think what's happened is because I'm taking meds for the cough, it's fucked up my digestive
Ah,
system.
yeah.
So it's just a mess.
Should be live.
Someone has already posted some sound and video.
Oh, okay. That was fast. So people can hear all the shit I'm talking and... Wait.
I hear this what you just said, like on the side second.
Yeah. Wait. What? Can we start? I think it's 1:15, so it's time to start, following the Finnish academic traditions. I realized yesterday that today is Friday. It's quite sharp. Now it is quite like, when you think about it, now it's already Friday, 1 week past. Again, how is everyone doing? Good, nervous laughter. Okay, how was it framing the problems? 3 videos, 3 pictures. Did you all post them and upload them already? How was it? Was it easy to kind of pinpoint some initial problem areas, or? Yeah?
But then deciding on which one to pick was probably the hardest.
Yeah.
If you only have 6 minutes and 40 seconds to talk about it.
Yeah. It's not an easy task, but then when condensing your message into such a short presentation gives there's like a conversation starter. So you don't have to solve all the world's problems. And next week we are going to be narrowing down from those 3 problems. But today, and something that we kind of improved comparing to last year, so we have now these reflection days, just to make sense of what has happened so far, what happens next, and just to take kind of step back, breathe, relax, and then start the weekend. Has everyone been actually in this room before? No. Yes, no, yes. It's a beautiful room. One of the most beautiful in the business school. Any questions about the schedule? So we have 3 different components, and then from 4 o'clock we are going to have a talk with some tasting from Kyrö Distillery, so design and storytelling, how they are using design to tell stories, and the idea is that this would inspire you in your presentation, and how do you kind of tell your story. Does everyone know Kyrö Distillery? No. Some of you might have tried some of their products. You have the opportunity to do so. And as I mentioned on Monday, this is not part of course evaluation. If you don't want to drink, that's completely fine. We also have some, Gia brought some apple juice, right? Yeah. Okay, but before that, 3 reflection components. Are we ready for this? Yes, let's do it. One thing, so thinking about methods, this week has been quite intense with trying out different methods, ideation methods, whatnot. So now the first one is just kind of stepping back and understanding how do these actually work? How did you experience using these in your team? So if you can start talking, and you can make notes. We have papers here, sticky notes, markers, whatnot. So we have 4 questions for you to talk about in the next 30 minutes or so, and then we have a little twist to kind of mix you up. Well, not too much, but so is it clear? So kind of thinking about in your team all the methods you have been using so far, and kind of do they work? Do you have any challenges using them? How do they compare with what you have tried before? Does it make sense? Okay, so let's take 30 minutes for this team discussion part, and then additional guidelines.
But a lot of that was
Hello. Ah, you. Is it only? There's only you two.
3 is 3 upstairs.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. Cool.
Hi.
Hey, can I listen?
Yes.
Or
I was actually briefing on what we did yesterday. We tried research kind of on ground. We wanted to contact. Okay, let's start back. We were thinking of the topic of asylum seekers.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
question of equality, and we were in Migri, and they said these are the most vulnerable groups, and makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were kind of trying to look, especially you were focusing on the aspect of income because it was part of the brief. But then we were thinking they cannot work, and so when we wanted to interview people, so we emailed a few centers and no reply in 2 days,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is fair enough. But then yesterday we started scanning on Hesari first.
Yeah, yeah.
We just put in asylum seekers and what came up, kind of what could possibly be topics. So one of them was suspicion. So then the first idea we kind of had is like how somehow connect locals. But that didn't answer the income question at all.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
we went back to kind of Migri's website. So that really helped us because on the first day we did a lot of brainstorming and we reached zero. Not even a concrete problem.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
let alone anything close to a solution. Except for this topic of asylum seekers.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the research, the online research helped us. Because, So then when we got to Migri, we found out that actually they are allowed to work after 3 months of waiting. Yeah, after applying. They have time because they are in reception centers. And we also found out what kind of allowance they get, which is very interesting. If they get all of their meals in the reception center, the average asylum seeker gets 75 euros a month.
Yeah,
That's all of their.
yeah.
So then we kind of thought about like maybe some sort like how can we invest that money, and that just went a little bit crazy. Because it's 75 euros and people don't necessarily have the right qualifications for this. And then we, the kind of last idea, which in a way felt like it came a little bit fast, so I don't know if we're going, but we were thinking maybe of some kind of platform like Upwork, but for asylum seekers, for like little jobs they can do. Maybe that could be in the same way that those apps where you pin your Siivouspaiva thing, so it gives you like a permit. So in that way, maybe like applying through the app could give you like a small toiminimi of up to 8,000 euros. So we were thinking to really narrow it down to the really small income, because 8,000 euros a month, a year, if you get 75 euros a month is a big leap forward. So kind of to focus on what you can do with that before you have to start paying taxes and all of these people who anyway have time. And then you know, through a kind of ranking system, a very transparent ranking system, kind of build trust slowly and pricing, something like that. Cheap labor to Finland, but income to people who have zero. So that was maybe. We also were very careful with. We listened to the podcast on privilege, and we really wanted to steer away from the savior kind of thing. So to educate people. This kind of. So it was very free form, even though I think what helped us was kind of sitting together with like the laptops. We didn't do any proper methodology, because whenever we tried to kind of brainstorm, we were not even sure what questions were asked. We had a really hard time kind of igniting the process.
I guess like one kind of explanation could be that like difficulty of getting access to people and relying on secondary sources. I don't know. There's like one organization in Maria, in the old hospital, called Shortcut. Adi knows some people from there, and that's one, you know, if you want to kind of talk with immigrants. And then there was one NGO that we really wanted to have on board called Monika Naiset, like Monika. So this Monika Naiset, they work with immigrant women, kind of helping them train, take courses, study Finnish, find employment and all that. And what they actually told, like we had some phone chats with them, and like the problem with them was that like all the volunteers would have to be like women as well. So we were, I mean, separating teams because of that. But what they told was that they also offer classes on like how to use computers. And the point is like what was really kind of striking for me was that these courses, they start with like how do you turn on your like power your computer. So like that's one thing to keep in mind, like, you know, when designing services, like, you know, what is the actual skill level of people. Just gonna comment on like this service. But and also like both of those organizations, I mean, you might get some access to immigrants or refugees from those. And then there was this also this Mad Ventures guys. They had this initiative to employ refugees as well. So, and that's like one place as well. But yeah, but definitely like as kind of the umbrella concept or umbrella context, it's really, really vital or like crucial point to solve.
Especially in future scope, it's a pressing issue.
Yeah.
That we reached pretty fast and we felt But then what exactly is the problem? We lack also the visit in Migri. She was very much a facilitator herself, so she couldn't necessarily tell us what were their biggest challenges, like on ground. She could tell us what they did and what the kind of people in Migri who approached them. But she doesn't necessarily. Things like lack of translators and so on.
Yeah. Actually, if you want, I can give you some names as well. Like, so my mom, she used to work as a social worker with refugees, maybe like 10, 15 years ago, and she knows, like, and we have these family friends, like interpreters from Iran and different countries, who have been living in Finland now and still like help immigrants with like translation and all that. I can give like Hamid's number, for example, if you want to kind of call him and all that, like, you know. Yeah.
As to methodology, I have to say this week, whenever, not that we tried very hard, but kind of every time we tried, it kind of just steered off, and I think kind of free-form discussion.
Yeah.
Because it's not really like a focused problem where we can like apply a method.
Yeah.
It's more like we are discovering the context.
Yeah.
So I guess it's better to just discuss and research on the net and asking people if that can be a method.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the divergence phase in a way, that, you know, you keep on getting inspiration everywhere, you know, these things are connected, and then there's this thing, but then, like, you know, it might be useful for you guys, like when your team, that, you know, when you start converging again, that, you know, that's when the methods kick in, because you have like a clear kind of umbrella, but then narrowing down from there, like what is the real issue. And like one classic method, for example, is like this 5 whys. So, you know, asking 5 whys in a row, like, you know, let's say, you know, immigrants don't have enough opportunities to work. Why? Then you have an answer. Then second why. I just keep on talking too much, but I'll bring you one more thing that might be useful. But you can go through them, and if you want to borrow, you can borrow them. And
It's from eBay.
yeah, they have their own kind of set of cards, and it's kind of inspiration for different phases of the design process. And yeah. So really, are you feeling okay?
Sorry. So in KY,
Yeah.
we have this event called moisturizer.
Ah, okay, yeah, hangover, yeah.
No,
Oh, wow.
I only make like I was awake in 24 hours, and then
Oh, wow.
I slept 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
So I went to sleep like 6 a.m.
Okay, that's intense.
See, here's why I'm just nodding along.
Yeah.
I'm listening, but I'm
Yeah,
not, like,
okay.
controlling in here.
Yeah, and that's fully understandable, just, you know, like
Yeah.
free flowing, and you can also read cards now. And
Yeah.
but yeah, check it out, and there's also one other deck, this travel cards, if you want to check them out. Then. But you guys are doing good, okay, like otherwise. Okay. Nice. Okay.
It's on the schedule.
Hey there.
Hey, sorry, please continue.
We're done.
Oh, you're done already?
Yeah, we're just talking about our ideas.
Ah, okay. Can I listen, or it's not like a secret, or?
No.
Okay.
It's going to be a secret, even in the presentation.
Yeah, big black slides. No, sorry, we can't talk about this.
It's confidential. But thanks for coming.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed it, and there's our business
We
card.
still have 6 minutes left, so let's play a song.
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe we can use the weekend for ideation, but then also what you say is preferable for this one.
We can bring our ideas and then also ask about the current situation. But if we only bring the ideas and then if they say or then it's like we are already like stimulating ideas, so it's not like during the research, but it's more about the back part of the process. Like we need to do like user research before we actually come up with the ideas and also about it.
So we basically need qualitative points of views and feedback. Maybe
it's also good to bring some ideas and ask like, do you think it would work in your situation?
Maybe let's narrow down on the sort of core assumptions of our like solution. What would be, for instance, like having an app suggest behaviors. That might also be something where people zoom out and don't want to do it anymore. So maybe those, maybe we can just purify those design assumptions and come up with like natural questions to directly tackle these parts. So what do you say is like? Are we trying to validate the basic idea in order to push forward with it, or are we trying to sort of find our specific angle and bias?
Yeah. Yeah.
If he doesn't reply,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll go for
That's cool. That's cool.
Otherwise, it's like really
No, cool if you can.
But I don't know, like, is it just pick up the phone and just call for him?
No. Yeah, it's like that really works in Finland.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just call like basically anyone. Like David Lewis, for example.
No, you see that didn't work.
No, like people usually pick up their phones.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I will try.
There is no try. Just do. Yeah. You can say, hey buddy, emailed you. Hello. Hi. In case, like the translator I was talking about, just say hi from me and he knows.
And what exactly does he do?
So initially Hamid came to Finland from Iran maybe 30 years ago. He used to teach mathematics in a university there, and now he came as a refugee, started working as a translator, and I think maybe he's also almost retired now. He's like 50, 60 something, but he works like as a translator when refugees go and meet with the city officials or kind of public officials, and so he knows like a lot about the topic. Yeah. Cool. You're welcome.
Okay. I haven't had that much thing that we'd have a concrete leader. I think some projects have tried that they're supposed to choose team roles for it, right? So we do 5 guys and then you have to choose one leader and one. Yeah, but we've never done it really because we're pretty much stupid. I don't know.
We might have to do it have some work to plan out and actually deliver.
Yeah, but it depends so much. I think if you have a leader, then it just changes the dynamic and it doesn't become like it just becomes structured.
It's more like a captain. You're still a player, but you're just at the added responsibility.
But still, I think that's also bad because it shifts the dynamic in the group, huh? Because then it becomes more of a, if it's a school project, for example, then it's the leader's fault, captain's fault if everybody gets that grade. I think in a team, it's everyone's responsibility. So that's how I think. I don't know. I oppose here.
Yeah. I mean, I oppose them as well, especially when we're all the same stature. Like, there's no one here that's much more experienced than me. We all respect each other. There's no point to that here. But there are expertise. For example, if there is something about business, it makes more sense for the business to just get charge of those aspects. But if there's something more strategic for the it makes sense for you to take charge.
No, and I don't know how you guys have it, but I think that usually comes pretty natural.
Exactly.
At least at my workplace, I have never thought about my bosses. I really my bosses. But the thing is, they know so much more. So it's natural to have them lead and take charge. So, but it's not there just because.
I think for the ideation part, we definitely don't need anything like that because everyone's ideation, at least on the base level. Yeah.
But that might actually be a challenge for us ahead, how we're gonna, because we have to narrow down at some point.
We are far too abstract.
Yeah.
Just kind of echoing what you were discussing about this ideation. Like, if you want, you can just kind of go through them and you can take pictures of, like, there's like a selection of different methods. And you can also borrow that. It's like programs deck. If you want to kind of have some structure or framing in the ideation phase.
Yeah.
And hey, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
About the leadership stuff? Futurize, like one of the IT companies here, they have a lot of, like, they have been talking about this kind of teal organizations. So if you want to look into like how they, like, because I really enjoyed like the way you kind of reflect on the leadership issues and all that, and how do you manage as a team. They have also like some interesting thoughts if you want to kind of go deeper into that aspect. Yeah. Yeah, window.
Keep an eye.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, like we won't teach you like derivative formula or anything, because that's not the value of the business. It's the value
Skills are much better than mine. What is your experience?
Actually. Hey. Can I interrupt for a few beautiful moments? Beautiful moments. It's almost 2 o'clock, so shall we take some cohort level reflections and highlights? Kind of teams sharing some of the points from 1 to 4. So, do we have any happy volunteers who want to share their thoughts with others? wait, so you volunteer, like, okay. Yeah, like do you have any like something you want to share with the rest of us?
Whatever.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, anything goes.
I think what's most interesting is that we all agree that we got to really know the team and have the team trust, and that there's a lot of commitment and motivation from everyone. So that was one of the big successes, and a lot of something that a lot of us think is different from previous teamwork we experienced. So I guess that's a really good point.
Nice. Who feels that they know their team? Yeah. Nice. Thank you. That was a good point. There's a bit of a delay, or?
We're missing one person from our team, like hasn't showed up.
Oh, okay.
So we don't know our team.
Ah, yeah. Touché. Anything else? Anything to share from 1, 2, 3, 4?
Well, I think personally it's been pretty cool just the whole week. We work with completely new people. I haven't really known anyone here from before. And we worked in quite a different way from other projects I've done. So we've really worked on getting to know each other first. And we've discussed a lot. But normally, you at this school project, you get a task and it's quite linear, so you know what to do, and nobody cares about the thing itself. It's only the task that matters. So I think it's been pretty cool that we've actually worked on the team spirit also.
Thank you. That's a really beautiful thing to say. Oh, come on. There's nothing wrong with saying beautiful. Come on. In this country, it's completely okay. We need more beautiful things in this country. Does anyone want to build on that?
Well, not build on that, but...
Okay, then sorry. No, please, go ahead.
The thing is that, for example, for us, the most interesting thing is that this time we spend more time for team building than other courses, because often in other courses it's just like you have the team and go ahead with the project. And this time I think we have been, everyone spending more time in that different activity. I think we have been spending more time in those activities than actually doing the project itself. So I think that's something really good, because we now know how to build the trust and be more efficient and more silent.
Yeah. I do remember those times. I don't know if this ever happened to you, but I've been in part of so many team assignments. Like, you have people sitting in a traditional classroom, then the teacher is usually there. Okay, let's count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One's here, two's there. Deadline 27 October. Go. It's kind of. I thought there was a punchline there, like a really beautiful pedagogical joke punchline, but no punchline. Sorry. Okay. You people are really sharp. I knew that already on Monday. Anything else? Yes, please.
I think what worked fairly well for us was categorizing, analyzing, and defining the problem space. What would be much harder was doing crazy ideation. So I think this is also where we lacked the proper tool. We tried the 3-part combination thing that worked okay in the beginning and then died fairly quickly. So I think this is the place where we would have needed a more advanced tool to really come up with creative solutions.
Okay, so you have like this, you need like more tools to come up with crazy ideas.
Yeah, exactly. But ideas that are crazy but still make sense.
Yeah. And don't cause any harm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to Adi afterwards. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, okay. Let's think about that. Who would does it, like any other teams, do you share the same kind of concern? How do we get crazy ideas? Everyone else is like out there already. You? Okay. That's a good point. We'll think about that this weekend. Okay? And we actually there's one deck of cards, and you guys still have one. If you want to go and borrow and get some inspiration, and yeah, it's a good point. Thank you. Anything else?
I was about to say that we have had a lot of ideas because we got the 11 sustainable cities and community.
Yeah.
And it included a lot of perspectives already. So we had a lot of ideas yesterday. And we discussed a lot, but the tools really helped us to narrow some of those down. So we didn't spend the whole night on the topics, but yeah, it's really good to have more tools to move forward. Right?
Yeah. I mean, oh, excuse me. Next week we are going to be giving more tools on that, but did I say something funny? No, okay. But yeah, more tools coming, and you have some leftover ideas, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I was just
for me been like how am I in a group, and also learning more about myself as a team member. So for me, also the tools have been very useful for like personal reflection.
Oh, thank you.
If I can add to that, yeah, it was definitely, I remember on Monday when we got the whole like failure CV and stuff, and as a typical business student, I was like, well, this is getting personal, I don't know. And we have a task and we just have to do it, and like, what is this like mushy stuff? But now that we've actually like, as it was said, that just the fact that you get to know your team, you take the time to really like, sort of, who are these people, who am I in this context? And, you know, maybe get into those soft values, actually how that also made us immediately a lot more effective in our conversations. Because then you also maybe immediately sort of find a better vibe and you can take things personally if someone acts a little more different when they're excited for something. So for me personally, it's been like a huge lesson that how valuable it is, like when you start a team, to actually get to know each other and take that moment, even if you're in a hurry. So that's really cool.
Wow. Can I build on that briefly?
Please do.
Okay, thank you. It took me a while also to kind of, like, I've been having the same kind of struggles coming from a business school, that being soft was something I perceived as kind of fluffy and a bit like, okay, you are not taking things seriously. And this is something that I keep on hearing from my friends who work in the industry as well, that if you are soft, then you are not delivering. But I think it's exactly that you know, you're soft and firm at the same time. So you're not hard, but soft and firm. I think there's a clear difference that, you know, it's not really about kind of these touchy-feely things only, but combining that with results. Yeah. I don't know if it was a proper build-up on what you said. Thank you. Perfect. Yes, then and then.
Yeah, I think because we focused on the ideas versus building the teams, we were not stereotyping or typecasting our teams into different roles. Like we have the engineers, so the engineers are supposed to be the logical thinkers, or the artists are supposed to be the creative one. Instead, we were focusing on the ideas and sharing the ideas and bouncing them off in a different way. Because I've been in teams where you end up saying that, oh, he's the software guy, so he needs to know about how to think in a different way of thinking or different logical patterns compared to a designer, for example. And it's been nice to be in a different environment than that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Just one side effect that we got is that we know each other very well, we are becoming friends, but we also have a little bit hard time focusing because of that. Because sometimes we have too much fun and then we get lost on our topic. It's also something that has to be managed, at least in our team.
Oh yeah. What about this Pomodoro technique? Is it like?
Yeah, maybe we should.
Yeah, like, is it 15 minutes?
25.
25.
25 and 5.
Okay, so you can fool around 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. One last for this session. Then we have a 15-minute break. Like, you know.
I think the guest talk help us a lot, because every time we are like facing a question like, what is the challenge we are going to face now? Then the guest talk just help us in the time it should be. It's like normally we got this information or knowledge from like materials or handbooks, but now if somebody told us by a presentation or just talk with us, I think we can have a better understanding of this problem and know exactly what we are going to do next.
That was cool. Do you feel they were like, all the guest speakers, do you feel that they were kind of approachable or?
I think they are quite approachable, and I think what impressed me the most maybe is the day 2. It's like they help me how to build up the team, and when we come up with our project, it's like our team is like sustainable society, cities and communities, and in the day like yesterday, they tell me how to measure this question now it's like we can think in a long term, but we can do something actually in our life in a short term. So it actually narrows our vision about how to do this, and we can think about it in an actual way to do it. It's like
no, thank you. And on that note, let's take a beautiful 15-minute break. Fresh air, refreshments. Please come back 1:15 or we convene again. Oh.
one is ideal, one is triggers cards. The last one is game of creativity. That one might be the least applicable here, but it's still just like fun to explore.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, did we miss? We lost half of the people almost. All right, shall we continue again? Everyone got tea, coffee, refreshments? No one's ready to faint yet. Good. One announcement. Wait, one, two. So we have more of these card decks. If you want to borrow these or take a look at these, they are here on the table. If you want to borrow these, write down your team's name so we can keep track of these. These are Adi's personal cards, so please treat them like a little kitty cat.
And if you have questions about them or want to know how to use them, just come ask.
Well, okay. Second part. Lots of stuff happened this week. And in case you haven't noticed, you have achieved a lot this week. Already, like, you know, the way you were reflecting before the break. Wow, simply wow. I'm just kind of crying inside. And that's a good thing before you get any ideas. No, crying is okay. It's beautiful. Crying is beautiful. But now is the time to kind of bring everything kind of together. So the readings, so all of this. Now is the time to make sense of what we actually did. So what were the highlights? What did I learn? What did we learn? And then how are these things connected? So the idea would be that in your team, again, take some sheets of paper and start visualizing, like, how are these things, how do you perceive them to be connected? So it's not like we are not looking for the right answers, but, you know, trying to make sense of how all the elements come together and how do you make sense of those. And then we do this like for 30 minutes or so. Then one person stays behind and then the rest go to a different team to kind of understand and hear what they have done. So mixing a bit, but not too much, in a nice way. So half an hour, again, first part, and then 15 minutes or so for the second part. Is it clear? Can we get like one of those silent discos from Monday? Like, is it clear? Yeah. Oh, okay, now it sounds. Cool. Okay, half an hour, 30 minutes for the first part, and then I'll announce when it's time to move on.
Fun fact about silent disco, it's never actually silent. Because people think that everyone has headphones on, so they're super comfortable singing. So everyone's actually singing.
Oh, wow, now I'm too close. Right.
It's not only about this course or only that guest talk. I think it will influence me for a long time. It's like what actually can I do with design? Because before it's like design is a concept and we always want to say something. I want to change something, I want to design something meaningful. But actually that day it shows me something that is truly meaningful to me.
Oh yeah, you like the...
Yeah, I really like that they are the guest talk, so I think it's like the highlight of my life.
I like the cooking.
Yeah? Oh, cooking.
and the short, it was... Yeah, the lecture presentation, that was short enough, or long enough, you know? I don't know. But I really like it because it got me, I was talking a lot, but it got me thinking about like our organization where I work at, and then I got to think like ideas for my pieces work because I had to start it I got so many ideas, I don't know.
It's true. It's like that day we are in the. It's like we three are in the same group. Like, yeah, but yeah, we are like pumpkin soup. Yeah. It's like before when I listen to the lecture, I think maybe I'm that kind of manager style because I want to have a recipe before I cook. But actually, when we did it, it's totally different. It's like the materials we use. It's like we have to make full use of what we have right now. So it kind of changed my mind of my former experience. So it's very interesting in a practical way, I think.
But I really like, for example, we would say that, oh, I thought of a soup.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah. So you too, like, people have the same idea that I have.
You have your color and I have my yes.
Think so? No, this is mine. No, this is not mine.
I took another.
No, this is not mine. Important. Right? That's what we would discuss. Knowing your team. And knowing yourself. And then also, just talk we discussed the whole concept of like also not reflecting yourself as a team.
Yeah.
This color is not good.
No, but this, you can use this.
But these are things that we didn't train.
For me, it was also about
Maybe everybody can take a pen and write over this to what did they learn from that particular activity.
It's like, as you can see, we're like super talented people. Everywhere.
Or we can take off and write everything from there. Just like
Or we can share something. I think because before this question you wrote
No.
You mean like you're really trust and then
Well, I could say that I learned about me. Like
So deep.
no, but as I said, was it when we were in Haga earlier, that now I actually understand where I'm lacking because we were like having the conversation about what we can do, and you were, I don't remember what you were talking about, but I was like, no, I'm just thinking like app online, IT stuff, and you were saying something else. And that was something I was like, oh, I'm now in the scientist mode. This is my expertise, nothing else. That is something I learned.
Yeah, what I told you a moment ago. I'm a very quiet and shy person in Israel. And here I'm figuring it out.
What, IT? What is it?
I just like
What culture?
A culture.
and then you have like we already have this. We have like kind of difference.
IT culture is
Yeah, we are our own trial.
like did you mean it like in this like Finnish culture? It's like different between
She's not actually using her years of artistic experience as well.
By the way, we only two of us like in this team.
Ah, yeah.
So like for the number 2, 3, 4, it's hard for us to move.
No, it's okay. Like you can just you can either you can do it so that one stays behind one of you, and then there's another team joining, and then you can join somewhere else, and it's completely fine. Yeah, I was about to ask like where does one team start and one ends, and
Okay.
well yeah, like 1, 2, and 3.
Like 2 of our members.
Ah.
They're not here.
Oh yeah, now it's the season.
Yeah, it is.
But you are doing okay. Staying healthy and all that.
Yeah.
In my bag.
Sorry, just pretend I'm not here, and I'll make myself invisible.
Philosophy of team. The truth
Oh, I really like to learn more about that. I realize I should. Because I'm like really into like digital journaling. Every night I just go to midnight day. It's also but I think like very decent. Like I don't know, I really like it, so I really like mixing it up here and I think like can liquefy the self.
We're just criticizing right now. You might want to join another.
No.
It's kind of saying yesterday I went to the Dash design process talks, or like 3 talks from Smartly, from Pentagon Design and Itila.
Yeah.
And those were the the first 2 talks that we had, the artist and the graphic researcher. I would have skipped those and put the design process talks. Or maybe we got all these cool tools that you have on your website, but we never actually got started with them because they're all massive. You cannot just grab them and get them to work immediately. So like getting someone from IDEO to introduce the design kit, like getting someone from Google Ventures to introduce design sprints, that would kind of have been the talks that I would have preferred in that position to really get started with the magic methodologies and how to approach and tackle things, because then you can really just apply methods as well.
Oh, that's a good point. Like, we kind of had this idea that, next week we're going to give more structures on, like, first week is like problem framing, and then we move on to ideation. But then, that's a valid point that, if some teams feel that they want to have it earlier on.
Because that was I think the first talks, they were interesting per se, but at the point we had kind of a distraction because I didn't know what to do with them. So we're like, okay, cool, thanks guys, bye.
Fair enough.
It was kind of something that I would have preferred later on to see, okay, there's people who are doing things that, I'm coming from very corporate background, so those were like completely different things for me that would have been interesting just to see. Maybe it's not super applicable for me, but it's interesting to see. But maybe later on when I already got started and just to get some more crazy impressions and ideas.
Okay, but you have this feeling that you want to get like these crazy ideas now, and like, is that like your concern, or?
I think we have an idea that that might run into something, but we didn't have any ideas to choose from, so like having more interesting ideas to really make a conscious choice. Okay, we're choosing this because we're really in love with it and not because it's what we have right now. I think that's just
let's see, like, like one I don't know how you feel about it, but we're gonna have these mentoring sessions, or like not mentoring, but we call them mentoring, but kind of more personalized. So we can actually talk about this more in depth next week.
Actually, I sent you an email about mentoring session.
Sorry, I haven't had time, but I think it should be okay time-wise. But so I think that, like, if that's something you want to kind of touch upon and go deeper, then by all means,
We kind of have an idea that we want to do some very initial research, and kind of user challenging on Monday just to see if it flies at all. So if that works, I think we have something that we like, but in case we get the feedback that this is an awful idea, then
I don't think that there's nothing wrong with the idea itself. I think if it's just kind of too boring idea, that's maybe at least my biggest concern. I think the idea is good. It's kind of it should work, but if it's kind of blah.
Yeah.
Come back in a minute. Yeah. How do you feel like, so we have like the problem space and then the solution space, but they often go hand in hand. So like, do you like what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to be like too concerned about if you feel that the idea is boring, because then you kind of, once you develop your concept, then you start also figuring out how does the problem space actually look like. That's one thing. So why do you actually feel it's boring? Like what?
Because you have all these cool astronaut graphics, and we want to have an astronaut idea as well.
It's ordinary kind of. It's not like breakthrough innovation. It's a cool idea which could work, but it's not like breakthrough.
I think it's a super cool idea if it really works and if people jump on it. Then I think I'd be super happy to push something like this forward. But it might just I don't know if people would use it.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah.
So research is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I like the problem space that we kind of the idea is basically in the space of closing the happiness gap. And I like that this puts a different angle to the inequality problem. And I think the kind of sort of the solution that we want to try to find is how to develop more wholesome habits and relationships, and I really like that too. The question is if people want to do that through a digital service, or if they're creeped out and say, well, no.
What have you tested any of these ideas with like outsiders? Yeah. Because that's one thing, like well, like I wouldn't be personally like too concerned about ideas being like too ordinary. I mean, it's really like when you think about like how do you actually execute that? That's when like that's where you can really shine. I mean, the idea itself can be kind of mundane or really simple, but then the way you execute that, like that's the cool part. Like, for example, we had this, let's see if this makes any sense, but I was talking about all these unicorn symbols and all that, like what does it symbolize with a friend of mine yesterday, and she was wondering like what's gonna come after unicorns, like what is the next level of unicorns. And then we started talking about frondas. So fronda being like a combination of frog and a panda, and I thought that was a brilliant idea. Then I shared this with like Gia, Adi and Dite, like from Denmark, and they just completely trashed that. It was like, yeah, it's a nice beta idea. It's like, fine, whatever. But they came up with like something even more fun. But like point being like, it's like, don't stress about ideas. I mean, it's like, how do you get people excited about that? Like this chocolate, for example, it's super simple, but like the smell. I'm just no, I can't. I've had my share of chocolate recently. No, kind of steering away. But yeah, but good points. And there's actually like in the next methods we have like this kind of wish list section. So please voice that there as well, so we can like really integrate those ideas next weekend. Yeah, but I'm still thinking about those crazy ideas.
You often have, I mean, again, I'm coming from really business background, and you have loads of analytical people in there who have very well expressed analytical capabilities, but very reduced emotional capabilities. So you don't. You often get stuck in that innovation dilemma. Where good idea, but then nothing happens. So.
Actually, have you tried this before? Like coming up with so you have your problem framing. Try to come up with like as shitty ideas as possible. Like like no, like just no evaluation criteria. Just if you think it's a shitty idea, write it down, and then see what happens. Like maybe you have like the opposite of those, or I mean sometimes it's a fun method, like to think about like how far can you actually push this. Yeah.
We had that in one kind of business idea development class where we had some kind of 100 ideas.
Yeah.
And it was kind of
having so much
had to
fun.
have like shitty ideas to choose like a card.
Yeah. See, I mean, you're getting there already. I mean.
I guess I should try them.
Yeah. Okay.
You can get them to
Shitty ideas. Cool. No, thank you.
Question mark? We don't know yet
Yeah.
if it's a highlight or not.
Where's the candidate?
Yeah, it's a wild card.
So you have horses running around a track and then you bet on it. Do you have any idea what it's called in English? I have no idea.
It's like horse racing.
Horse racing, pretty much.
There might be a formal name for those.
Like Derby?
Yeah, Derby.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a drinking. All the 4 aces in a row, and then.
Yeah, totally.
How much text got it? Because I kind of like write too, so.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really like, we don't want to like, if you feel like writing, write your heart away, like, just, yeah. I mean, as long as you at least, try to use visual methods, yeah.
We used all our creative energy. So
it's like a massive push. Well, I mean, you could have done like a bullet point list, so you still have some left there. Wait, what's the character?
Oh, good question. But we have a logo already.
Ah, okay, okay.
Then we have a GIF.
It's like an analog GIF. Okay, I never saw that coming. Okay.
Thank you for clarifying this.
Please continue. I'm just like,
I went to Helsinki blindfolded and surprised. There were surprises.
Do you want us to find a surprising connection?
surprising connection.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have one to share right now?
We're still looking for one. That's what we're asking.
It's like one of those. Do you know the movie Zodiac? But like they are looking for this Zodiac murderer, and the guy goes crazy. Like there must be a connection here. So it's gonna be the same thing for you. Like spending the weekend. And on Monday, it's gonna hit you like Monday 5 a.m.
Yeah. Monday 5 a.m. hopefully. Everything else turned out quite nice, and we found really interesting insights. But with the surprise, we're still struggling.
Maybe not yet. It might come up later.
The surprise.
Why do you want the surprise?
Because it's written right there.
Any surprising connection?
Oh yeah. Well, that was a surprise to me. No, I mean, you don't like if you feel that there aren't any, if it all makes sense. But like sometimes I never thought that these two could be combined. That kind of connections. So like for example, like the cooking slam, that was not like a surprising connection for you, like all clear.
Or maybe like combining cooking with a lecture.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not fishing for anything, but just like.
Fishing.
Or maybe she will just pop that.
I'm going to make a trip to Jerusalem.
Okay. That was fast.
Yeah, because I was like, do you want to talk over the phone or do you want me to come to your office? And he was like,
Nothing comfy.
it's just nearby.
Yeah.
So,
Do you want to borrow my bike?
I think you're too tall.
Yeah, you're gonna trash the bike anyway. Hey! And now it's on the call.
Oh shit. But yeah, okay, I'll go and let you know.
Yeah.
And then Adi will manage Sana. I texted her already.
Cool. Can you get some swag from them? Like some they have like nice hats and all that. I don't know.
One thing at a time.
Okay, buddy. Okay, shall we do a bit of shuffling before yet another break? So one person in the team stays, and then the others find another team. 10 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So you can like rock paper scissors. Yeah, together as a team. Yeah. Oh, come on, don't swap places here, like, you know. Wait. Yeah. Together. Yeah, as one unified team. Wait. Oi. Oi. Wait. Wait. You swap. Wait. No, right. How is it possible? We have like 12 teams.
Like one member is now. Maybe she blends with another team.
Ah. No, that's one, two, three, four. Yeah. But can you also go and join some other team?
Okay, so maybe like together with her also.
Yeah, and you know, then you can also either bring this one or like bring your own stuff there. And yeah. It's not fun if you are just here by yourself.
For the all group, yeah. How to work in a collaborative environment.
Do you want to take it with you?
Yeah.
Perfect. Are you all by yourself?
Yeah.
So
I just look around.
Could you? Yeah, it's not fun. I mean, can you join like some other?
Yeah, I know, but it's like one person should stay here.
Yeah, but since there's like I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay.
12 teams. There should be like one for each.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. No, but can please join like one.
I will just look around because it's like before it is said one person should stay here, but it's like not everyone is just walking around. So it's okay.
No, but you know.
It's okay.
Okay.
I really liked marketing. And I really liked Jessica's. I thought she was awesome. She reminded me of my best friend.
Photos that we had to
Something that was like very outstanding for you?
Any surprising connections?
I have my expertise and I'm kind of hard to mix that with other things and trying to focus on that. And I have to break. So we can continue for
This movie, but now it looks like a margarita or a cocktail. So,
There's
well, it's supposed to be I was supposed to dress up, so I just decided to make it into a lime or something.
Is this when you say like disconnect from reality? Is that modern requirements?
Hey buddy, is that's Kalles, right?
Yeah, I
That is
met
so
him
cool.
yesterday to grab it. It is really cool. I love the monobar.
Oh man. It's nice, it's nice. Okay. I'm wearing no pants. Bet you saw that never coming. I'm wearing no pants.
Now, like some ideas are confusing, not confusing, but like a little bit ambiguous. You also draw like towards that.
I think most of these have been on the soft side, and then
Yeah.
next
Right.
week more about
Is the
practicality.
whole team moving to a different place together?
No, it's kind of blended a bit.
Okay, because those guys are like, you told them the whole team has to go together.
Yeah, that was the idea, but you know, some of them did
Because
not.
it just started naturally blending.
Oh, cool.
Did you have something that we're missing, or is that everything?
They've had fun with that one.
We talked about the challenge and how that relates to the podcast.
Have you listened to the podcast? I have that this weekend.
Do you guys want to read it first? Or
Oh,
do you
this
want
is really
Sorry. Just gonna take the windshield.
Just writing like kind of all over it.
All right. Can you return to your original seats? No, it's okay to freestyle, you know.
I don't know. I feel the words like.
Oh, you mean on the screen here?
Yeah, the screen.
Yeah. It's gonna suck you into it.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready to continue? I know this is like the toughest point. Oi. Okay. Okay. 1 hour. This is now the toughest point. There's 1 hour between us and Kyrö. So I had to find something meaningful. Obligatory theory slide. So the previous method was based on Nonakas and his colleagues' work. I'm just going to show it just to show you that it's based on theory, combining it with actionable stuff. Moving on, no break. Looking ahead. That was really fast break, no? Yeah. Time flies, when you're having fun. So now, still working in. Well, actually we need, can we use one wall? Maybe that wall. So you have the 2 poles. And imagine this 2 by 2 matrix there. Visualize it somehow. So on the left side we have, and this is like thinking about now, looking ahead, reflecting on what's coming next week. So on the left side you have concerns, and then on the right side, wish list. What would you like to see? Or do you have any concerns? Was it crazy ideas? Too many ideas? And then the upper part is going to be on team level. So how do you feel like, what kind of concerns or wishes you have for next week as a team? And then under team individually. So now you can really go, let it all out. And the idea here is that we tie the things that we have done this week and experienced with what we have in mind and what you would like to have next week. So we're kind of tweaking, if necessary, according to what you would like to see and experience. So now this is so Sanna from Kyrö is coming at 4 p.m. So we have 55 minutes for this. And it's really up to you, if you feel that, yeah, we are done, then you can just kind of relax. So we're going to take 55 minutes for this exercise. But let's keep the quadrants clear. So concerns, wish list, and then team, individual, and that wall.
Are we physically like posting?
Yeah, sticky notes or paper, whatever means necessary. Don't draw on the wall, please. Okay. Yes.
Just one a red marker to write more aggressively.
That's the spirit. Thanks, buddy. Hey. Yeah, long story. I can explain later on. Okay, we need 4 papers attached to the wall. Like really high up.
Really high up?
Yeah, like concerns, wish list, team, individual.
Can I get those?
There you go. I'm just gonna make an axis here. Thank you. Oh, okay. There you go.
I have a class overlap at around 4 o'clock. So
Yeah.
I'll have to leave maybe at 3:30.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was wondering, how long will be after this relaxing session last?
I think we have it reserved like till 7 or something. So, and I have no idea how long it's gonna take. But you know, touch base with your team, and I hope we can stay here. Like Sanna is gonna talk for 1 hour max, and then just like a bit.
Yeah, because I think I finish around 5:30, so if you have time, then I would love to.
Ah, okay. I think that should be fine. Like, do you have it like somewhere nearby? Or?
I'll have to go to Otaniemi.
But it's not. It's like 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think 6. Yeah, we are still gonna be here. But please confirm. Yeah. Cool.
No, not on the final event. How are you here?
But
Where's concerns going?
concerns left.
Should I move this a bit more?
No. This is like left side. And wait. No, this is concerns.
So you're giving more room for concerns.
No, half.
Like here's team concerns.
Yeah, team concerns,
Team is coming up.
individual concerns.
And then team wish list.
We'll be here.
Where is Aino?
I emailed Aino yesterday evening. So let's see, I'll let you know. Yeah. That's like the Finnish version of like, where's Waldo?
Yeah.
Someone else. But this one also.
Can I have some tape?
Oh yeah, sure.
Thank you. See? Now it all makes sense. Ta-da! I didn't do my PhD for nothing.
I'll use all of them.
Visualizing knowledge, my ass. It's a perfect visualization. It makes sense, no? Like, oh. Oh, we have some tape here as well. Yeah.
I have my own.
I almost got you with like a smile video too fast.
Can I ask about the choo choo?
This is our highlight.
Choo choo.
Yeah.
Okay.
See the invention.
Choo choo. I think Shani was the one.
Shani was getting ahead of themselves, and then you were like, no,
And I'm like,
full spray ahead.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like the bright?
No, choo choo is like more speed.
Yeah, and I was the one who was still like, no,
Let's not do that.
Anti choo choo.
Yes.
Every post is falling out.
The custom one in particular.
I'm just saying that the wall is dirty. That's why. That's all I posted. The other one is not my post.
Wait.
Yeah, I know that.
That is mine. How did people of the city of Helsinki have like
Wait, what?
Oh, so
Which way?
the trick that
Yeah, that's too clumsy.
it's not clumsy.
No, okay, let me try.
No, not that.
Oh, okay.
So the sticky part, you put that and peel it off.
Ooh.
And it's supposed to restore the stickiness to an extent.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a tip from the inventor of the post-it.
Okay, then it should work. Wait, where was this? Do we do the right thing? Team.
Yeah, I'm not going to clean all of them. Yep.
Just in case.
That's what we're nailing it down. Give me one more.
You could try nailing it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just saw that. It's the VR question.
Guess what? VR.
Yes, introduce. I need more.
I need more. We need
Where
more.
do the get interviews go?
Team concert.
Okay. I need two.
Okay. You want the interviews?
There's more.
You can't handle the interviews.
Oh.
One place for information. Was it individual?
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. Oh.
Another tape.
Thank you.
But it's one
Okay.
place for information. I talked about first place.
Watching a movie.
Either way. Oh. Adi.
I'm just going to keep it here. If you're not sure if your spouses are going to use the tape.
don't think so.
Oh wow.
We didn't discuss them.
No, I was thinking that, let's take pictures of these and then answer on Teams.
Okay.
But we just, yeah. And then we can share the pictures as well, just so people can get back to them. Nobody moves.
There's a post-it falling.
I said nobody move a thing. Oh, muscle.
Yeah, I also use sports. Yesterday I went to total training, and then I went to bike after that, and then my muscles just cramped, and I was just like,
Sorry.
because that was the first time I got my
Sorry.
Because the challenge is really like saying something about sustainability. We focus on sometimes when our knowledge is not enough, so maybe this is
when you really desperate for it.
Niin logomaktaa sulle esille niinku from black ja sit sulle valmiina
I remember once we had nobody pays for it, and we wanted to go to the offices of student affairs to get our mark. Yeah. And the office of student affairs was and those were we needed really for the result because we plan our next year. So we went to the office. Yeah. I think the office closed at 4. Yeah, they just were there like at 4 in 1 second. We arrived at this office, and I remember this lady sitting there. The office, fortunately, was the tree that was like fallen from. No, like down. No, you can't.
We lost having fun. Is it?
Everyone is like stuck.
You can, it's very meta, but it's a good one. Because if you apply from it's a good dream. It's a good dream. Work-life balance. And you can number of time management. Really have it. Why is that? Apartment also. Well, okay.
So much fun. People are coming here after Mursujaisi.
Oh yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
crazy.
Did you go there yesterday?
No, never. I've never gone there.
No, you should give it a go.
I've been to some checkpoints last year, but 24 hours is just a bit too extreme for me.
Yeah.
Have you gone?
No.
You should go.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. I would like to, but I can't anymore.
Oh.
Oh. Distillery. Okay. Hey.
I have a lot of my on my plate right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So I think I will leave. I found out I can watch these in streaming.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Perfect. You know where you can access those.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Thanks for today.
Thank you very much
Cool.
for the
And
whole week. Especially
likewise.
Yesterday.
Really happy to hear that. Cool. And have a good weekend, and please,
here.
take care of your stuff. And see you next week then. Here. Yes.
Quick question about the challenge.
Yeah.
We have like some ideas. We don't know if it's too far fetched
Okay,
from our. So our theme is the no poverty.
Yeah.
And so we were thinking about like different ways of framing poverty. So we thought about the Maslow's hierarchy of the needs hierarchy.
Mhm. Ah, shit, sorry guys, that was on mute. But we're gonna have like a 15-minute break, so we continue 10 to. And then there's gonna be a talk by Sanna from Kyrö Distillery, and then some actionable testing of their storytelling outputs. Fantastico!
Yes. I've taken a bunch of pictures as stuff was falling down.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll be able
has come, what I promised. So, super happy to have Sanna Dooley from Kyrö Distillery Company here. Thank you for joining us.
Of course. Pleasure.
So, this is going to be jolly good. Yeah, let's give a... Beautiful applause. Appreciate that. Sanna, the floor is yours. And
thank you.
Ask questions, tough questions. Are they okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. Please.
Hi. I'd like to begin by saying I realize that right this moment I don't look like the most credible representative of a booze brand. But my company does not discriminate, hence I am here. And it's a real pleasure to come and talk to you guys. The point of today's talk is to share the story of not just how the distillery was built, but also how the brand has been built around the actual production of rye spirits. And as with, I thought you were clapping. I was like, already, applause, yay. As with most good ideas in Finland, ours was also conceived in the sauna. And it was the 5 guys sitting in a sauna, drinking American rye whiskey, thinking out loud that it's quite odd that in a country that loves rye, nobody has made whiskey out of it. The next morning, even with the considerable hangover, it still seemed like a good idea to start pursuing. And they decided to basically be the people who will make rye whiskey in Finland. The beginning was bureaucratic. It took them a couple of years to figure out all the ins and outs that you need to. It's not the simplest thing to do to set up a distillery, especially not in Finland. But eventually they got there. And in search of the right kind of place, they went all around Finland, looked for loads of different buildings and venues, and ended up here. To them, it screamed potential. To most people, it just looks like an absolute nightmare. It is a very old dairy building from 1908 in Kyrö on the northwestern coast of Finland, kind of located between Vaasa and Seinäjoki. And when they first got there, it had been derelict for a number of years. The dairy business had been moved away, and the building was mainly used as a winter storage for cars. But the boys thought this is exactly the place where we're going to build the distillery. And that is where our home is today. Did some gentle renovating and got it up and running, but it still took us a while to actually start distilling. The actual distilling began, well, I suppose in a very credible setup for a startup in a garage. Kalle, who's our head distiller, his parents went away on holiday, and the boys swiftly moved into the garage and turned it into a mini distillery. They made what's called a distiller's beer. It's about 8 to 10 proof alcohol, rye-based, sort of beer-like liquid, minus the hops. And the next step was to try and get it distilled. But although Kalle's home was very well kitted out, they did not have a pot still. So they needed to find somewhere that did. And the only place in Finland at the time, this was in 2013, the only place in Finland at the time was in Pori, in a bar called Beer Hunters, where they were doing a little bit of distilling of their own. So here are the boys taking their homemade distiller's beer to Beer Hunters and distilling it into sort of a moonshine type liquid. In Finland you would call it pontikka. And then we had the right distillate. The problem is that it's not whiskey until it's been in the barrels for at least 3 years. And it's quite a big risk to just leave it sitting there for 3 years hoping that it's going to make a decent whiskey, especially when most of everything we knew about distilling at the time was based on Google. So we decided that we need some reference, we need some proof that this is worth pursuing. So Miika, who's the one holding the barrel in the picture, he's our CEO, he had this genius idea that he was going to smuggle some of this stuff into the London Whisky Fair, which is one of the biggest whisky expos in the world. And did so. He went into the gents' toilet, poured some of his new shine into tasting glasses, and then did the expo kind of in reverse order. So instead of tasting what was there, he actually brought his own tasters to the exhibitors. and introduced himself as Mika from Finland and said, I've made this rye new make and I'm going to make whiskey out of it. Do you think it's any good? And he spoke to some of the best rye distillers from America, for example, and he got shining feedback. One of the guys actually took a sip and went, is this your first batch? Really? Jesus, I need to up my game. So then the boys were very, very encouraged and reassured that this is a good plan. And off they went back to Kyrö. In the meanwhile, in the local community, some rumors about these moonshine distillers were doing the rounds in the local village. It's a very small town, it's 4,500 people. And these strange boys have taken over the dairy, and all kinds of talk about booze was worrying people. So we decided that it's very important to make an effort to try and get the local community on our side. At that stage, we really didn't have anything. We didn't have the whiskey yet. We didn't have the pot stills yet. We had basically just a lease on the building. And we decided that we will just tape pictures of the stills on the walls and organize this sort of virtual tour of the distillery in terms of what it's going to be when it's finished. So we taped everything on the walls, and then we invited the whole village to come in and have a look. And once they saw that we really meant business and we wanted to build something long-lasting and wanted to be part of the community, they were very excited, and we have had the unwavering support of the local community ever since. Recently displayed at our Kyrö Fest that was organized just a couple of weeks ago, where in a village of 4,500 people, we had 1,700 of them at our distillery at a party. In terms of launching the brand, we started off making the new make, and obviously 3 years is too long to wait around. So we figured, let's make rye spirit cocktails with just a new make. And for that, we created a pop-up bar in Helsinki, near where you now have 100 Dogs in Malmirinne. We thought it was very funny to call it the Kyrö Tourism Agency. It caused some confusion. It was a very small bar, and we were able to fill it mainly with our friends, and then always had a couple of confused-looking pensioners that had interpreted the name of the bar quite literally. He's not one of them, though. He's from Kyrö. There's a sort of an agricultural society that we share the building with, and they love what we do. And when they heard about the pop-up bar in Helsinki, they rented a bus, and all these granddads hopped on the bus, drove 5 hours from Kyrö to Helsinki, came into the bar, had a drink, and then drove 5 hours back to Kyrö. And he was at the festival just a couple of weeks ago. Awesome dude. So that was the very beginnings. That was 2013, 2014. And once we kind of figured out that, yeah, the whiskey's going to take a while, and new make is a bit of an acquired taste, probably need another product in the portfolio. Back to Google we went and asked Google how to make gin. And we obviously had already committed very heavily to rye at that stage. This is the boys quite recently. We've used rye in very strategic ways. You don't see anything you're not supposed to see, but it's in a sauna. So the setting is meant to reflect how everything started. And we developed the gin recipe. It took a good bit of time. It wasn't as straightforward. Gin has loads of ingredients. Napue has the rye base, then it has 12 dry herbs and 4 freshly distilled botanicals on top. So quite a lot to balance in terms of a flavor profile. And we wanted to make something that is really, really Finnish. And we weren't really keen on going for the more traditional London dry profile because, to be honest, Finland has 0 credibility as a country that produces gin. So we figured either we're going to really do this our own way or not do it at all. So it was a bold move. And if you've tasted Napue, you know that it's not a typical gin. In 2014, we started selling Napue gin, and we sold 5,000 bottles in the first year, mainly out of Mika's Skoda's boot, driving around Finland, selling it to bars. And 2015, we figured we'll sell maybe 20,000. And at that stage, we really sort of felt quite good about ourselves and had everything set up. Like, we had this super sophisticated labeling machine, which is basically a wooden frame with lines showing where the label goes. And you put the bottle in the frame, and then you put the label where the lines are on the side of the frame. Very, very high tech. But in 2015, we got a phone call from London. We had entered this gin competition. We had been told by somebody in the industry that if you make spirits, you have to enter these competitions. So we did. And we got a phone call from London, and they said, we have no idea who you are, but you've just won a pretty big award, so you should prepare yourself. We're going to go public in a week. So then we prepared and ran out of everything in 2 days. And instead of the 20,000 bottles that we thought we were going to sell that year, we sold 100,000 bottles. We ran out of absolutely everything: bottles, labels, corks, gin. We broke 3 shoulders because we were still bottling everything by hand. And if you ask any of the founders, none of them remember anything of this entire year. It is just a complete blur. But it was a huge accolade, and to this day, we would not be where we are had we not won that one singular award that really lifted us up on the map, not just in Finland, but also globally. And to me, from a marketing perspective, there's a lot of different awards in this industry. I was very lucky that it happened to be this one, because when you say to somebody, it's the world's best gin for a gin and tonic, there's only one way to understand that, and it worked. Napo's proposition is finished summer in a bottle, and it really kind of aims to replicate that fragrance and aroma of a summer forest or a wild meadow. And the main distillates in the flavor profile are sea buckthorn, cranberry, birch, and meadowsweet. So those are really, really typical Finnish botanicals. And what I think is a stroke of genius in terms of design is the perfect serve. Most spirits have the problem that once you pour it into a glass, the brand disappears and nobody knows what you're drinking. Coming up with the garnishes, the rosemary and the cranberry, Napo tonic is instantly recognizable. And it's amazing still to this day, when you see somebody in a bar order 1, I can promise you in a half an hour you can count at least 10 Napo and tonics in the bar. It works. It's pretty much our only viral marketing tool. It's brilliant. And then today, we will be tasting Napo's slightly more sophisticated sister, Kyrö, which has had the chance to rest in an oak barrel for a few months. And it gets this beautiful golden caramelly color from the oak. And it also smooths the flavor, gives us a bit of softness. So it actually is a gin that you can drink straight as it is. I'm a whiskey drinker myself, not currently, but like in life. And this is my kind of gin. I think it's beautiful. It's very aromatic, super fragrant, but very soft. And today we'll be having it with cloudy apple juice. And that's an excellent drink, both cold and hot. So once the season gets colder, this is my go-to. Again, after a couple of months. And Kyrö's proposition, we put a lot of thought into this, is gin for when the weather sucks. So we have finished summer in a bottle and gin for when the weather sucks. Beautiful. And here is the whole spirit family at the moment. So we have Napo and Kyrö in the gin family. And then Juuri is the new make, so the unaged whiskey that hasn't been in a barrel yet. And then we are making the rye whiskey, or the Kyrö malt, that at the moment is aged somewhere around 3.5 years. We haven't been able to release more than a few limited batches so far, because the other side of the huge success of Napo was that for about a year, when we still only had one set of stills, we had to put whiskey production completely on ice and just make as much gin as we possibly could. But now we're at a stage where we're expecting the larger commercial volume to be out in 2020, early in the year. So good things come to those who wait. We've also done a lot of work on the bottle design itself. And we're very proud of the current design. We previously had a stock bottle that was purchased from a producer in Europe. And now we found a Finnish designer called Mikko Laakkonen, who's designed this bottle, and you can have a look at it closer up. I think it's a beautiful example of how the perfect design is at a point where you can no longer add anything or take anything away. And we wanted to stay quite loyal to the look and feel that we had previously, just so that it remains recognizable, but still improve it. And I think we did that. In terms of the brand itself, obviously the design elements around the bottle, the product, the profile, the flavor, these are all super important factors. But when you're building a brand, you need much, much more than that. Brand is something that only exists in people's minds. And you need to be excellent at storytelling, and your stories need to link to something that are kind of the foundations of the brand. And for us, it's these ones. There's rye in the middle, so we're completely committed to only ever working with 100% Finnish whole grain rye. Anything that we ever produce, rye. Some people have even criticized us that we've painted ourselves into a corner, but I think that in today's world, you need to stand for something. You need to pick a thing that is yours and then stick with it. And for us, in rye we trust. And then the other elements around rye, we've really kind of connected back to who we are as people and what we want to stand for. Adventure is clearly needed if you decide, sitting in a sauna, slightly inebriated, that it would be an awesome idea to start making Finnish rye whiskey. And adventurous is the spirit that you can see, I think, with everybody that works for us, but also I think in the consumers that find our products, because again, we have zero credibility as the producer of a super premium gin or a super premium whiskey. And it's amazing how open people have been. And in Finland a few years ago, super premium gin didn't even exist as a category. And now in Alko alone, the number of premium gins has literally doubled in less than 12 months. Designed in this context is not referring just to making things look good, but to also having that element of substance where you really think it through, and every decision and choice you make has a purpose or a function. And I think, you know, starting from the way we've put together our perfect serves, how the bottle looks, what we offer in terms of distillery experience, anything that you come across that has something to do with us, hopefully reflects a very designed way of thinking. And then there's uncompromising, which to me is, in Finnish you say tinkimättömyys. You never cut corners. I also think that one of the real truths about brand building today is that you can't lie. You can't bullshit about anything. If you do, eventually somebody will figure it out and you're gone. And I also think that if you're going to be fully transparent and honest, you need to be uncompromising. You can't take shortcuts if you're going to put all your cards on the table. And I'm very proud to say that when I first started working in the marketing team, I remember there was this one situation where I had to do a press release on something, and I approached one of the founders and I said, okay, so do I say this or do I say this? And he goes, well, which is true? And I said, this. Then you say that. I said, okay, easy. Easiest marketing job in the world. Basically just tell the truth all the time. Super easy. And then finally Finnish, and in this context, again, not just the country Finland, but also a certain mentality, certain characteristics that come with being Finns. And something that I think we as a nation should be a lot more proud of and talk about a lot more. The rye, in terms of ingredient, for Finns it means a lot. We consume 3 times the world average of rye. Rye bread is the national bread or national dish of Finland. But what I didn't realize before is that Finnish rye actually has a very distinct quality due to the fact that our summers are really, really bright, but quite mild. Not this summer, but in general. And as a result, the rye grain grows a lot smaller in size, and most of the flavor in the grain is right underneath the husk. So when it's a smaller grain, relatively speaking, it has more flavor. So it's almost like comparing regular tomatoes and cherry tomatoes. So we have excellent quality of grain, and when you use 100% whole grain rye, it creates an awful mess every time. It is the hardest grain to distill because it bubbles and foams and it burns really easily. And the way we do the process is we grind the grain ourselves into a coarse flour. The flour is mixed in the first stage to make the distiller's beer that the boys originally made in the garage. It's mixed with warm water and some yeast is added. It starts to ferment, and that's how you get the alcohol level to about 8% proof. And at that point, it's kind of like a loose porridge. It's a very sweet, kind of almost sticky liquid. Most rye distillers, before putting this porridge into the still, would filter it to make the process less messy. We don't. We take the whole batch, put it into the pot still, and during the process of distillation, you can imagine what the pot still looks like afterwards, with all this sticky, gooey stuff inside. My first week on the job, I was made to clean one of those pot stills. But for us, it's really worth the trouble, because when you keep all of the elements of the grain in the first round of distillation, you get all of the robust flavor and all of the kind of rye is actually quite an oily grain. And when you look at the clear spirit that you get at the end of the distillation, there's these little bubbles on top that look like somebody put olive oil into the liquid, and it's just oil from the grain. And that's something that, again, is, I think, very characteristic to the whole profile of our spirits. Here's a picture of the dairy building that was built in 1908. We call this our boy band picture. That's the 5 founders standing in front. You can barely see them, which is probably a good thing. But yeah, as I said about the Finnish thing, I think it's an attitude. To us, it's also the ingredients. All of our products have elements from nature that are literally picked from the distillery yard or surrounding forest or local farms. And also, quality of water in Finland is really, really high. We're always asked, well, our head distiller is always asked, what kind of filtering do you use for your water? And when he says none, everybody thinks he's nuts. But Finnish water, you really don't need to filter. It's beautifully clean and really, really soft. So it works just as it is. Here are some of our adventurers. These are our brand ambassadors who work for us in our key markets around the world. We put them in a slightly life-threatening situation, asking them to stand on the side of the bridge. This is one of the oldest suspension bridges in Finland. It's right behind our distillery. But it's a beautiful photo. Nobody died. It's all good. And then here's an example of uncompromising. This guy is actually somebody who bought a barrel from us in the first year. So before there was any reference point to whether we had successfully Googled how to make whiskey or unsuccessfully Googled how to make it. And now there's a few of these tattoos going around. And then designed, as I said. I love the imagery around the brand. And we recently also made the decision that we don't take any studio photos. We do all the photography in location, which in all honesty is a pain in the ass most of the time. But it really creates this connection between the environment, the Finnish nature, the elements that are in the product, and I think makes for beautiful aesthetics. Delving into the design elements a little bit more, the theme of the tattoo is our sort of emblem or a seal. Started from a bad joke, seal as in the animal, and then seal of approval, the seal approves. And ta-da, stupid pun, but kind of a pretty thing. And it's modeled on the Kyrö emblem that has a bear and a tree. Ours has a seal and a bottle. And that can be found on every bottle top. And on top of a case, there's a sticker closing the case. So everything that leaves our distillery, the seal approves. And then the image right above the seal is from a war memorial, which can be found just a stone's throw away from our distillery. And the battle was called the Battle of Nopwe. It was fought in 1714. And we've obviously named the product after it, but we've also lifted the font from the memorial statue, and that is now the Nopway Sans font that we use across all of our products. I think it's very Finnish that we give tribute to a battle that was a complete fiasco from a Finnish perspective. Pretty much everybody died was the end result of that battle. The village men could be fit into like on one bench at the end of it. Not to go into detail, but the Swedes completely just left us in the lurch with the Russians, and it was not pretty. And then, as I said about the bottle itself, there's a lot of detail to the design on the label. The fact that we've cut the words gin gin is based on the sort of school of thought that when something is imperfect, it attracts more attention than something that is perfect. And that's something that you can see across the whole range of products. Obviously, the Nopway Sans font is featured, and then we've put a lot of thought into the storytelling elements on the labels. So you can really kind of get to who we are, even with just a few words. You can have a look at the bottles closer up after the session. But I love the fact that every time I've delved into any detail to do with the brand, there's a story, there's a reason, there's some function or background as to why it is the way it is. So these are the cornerstones that the brand is built on. Rye in the center, the crazy adventurers, very designed, always uncompromising, and incredibly Finnish. But you need something else as well. When you start your own company, one of the founders said to me that it's like getting married. And before you marry somebody, you need to make sure that you kind of have a shared set of values, that you kind of believe in the same stuff. Otherwise, you know, you'll just be another divorce statistic. And to settle on the company values, obviously another sauna evening was required. So the boys retreated back into the sauna to come up with what we now call the values of the company. The first one, honestly enthusiastic, it's not a great translation. The Finnish term is rehellinen hifistely. But I have no idea how to better translate it than this. What it refers to is being enthusiastic and passionate about something, but in a really honest, down-to-earth kind of way. So no pretense. Especially those who are into whiskey, like myself, you know that the whiskey category has a lot of this emotional baggage around single malts and like all kinds of anoraks that tell you that's wrong and you shouldn't do this. And obviously I'm completely the wrong kind of whiskey fan. I'm wrong gender, wrong age, from the wrong country. But what I love about Kyrö and the set, or the approach that we take in all of our products and what we do is that it's made for sharing, it's made for enjoying. We're not going to tell you how to do it. You make that choice yourself. The bottles are priced in a super premium way, but still reasonable enough so that they don't end up gathering dust on your top shelf, that you'll actually open it and drink it. Trust is another really big thing. We're a small company. We love to collaborate. We depend on our distributors in all of our export markets. And we don't have expensive lawyers or market data, actually, very little of that as well. So we have to go with trust. We have to just go with face value. We don't have an option. And then that also puts a lot of responsibility on us to be trustworthy. And I think that's the way to build things. Humor, another very important point. We do not take ourselves very seriously, never plan to. And again, I think that's refreshing in the premium spirits category. We're not trying to be bling. We're not trying to be snobs. We're just having a bit of fun. Daring, because, yeah, who would have thought from Finland this level of knowledge in terms of premium spirits? Well, there you go. Social refers to the fact that especially hard liquor and spirits obviously have the reverse side as well in terms of pulling people apart and can be quite a controversial topic. So what we do is we really want to, again, emphasize situations where people come together and enjoy something together, discover something together. And that's why the storytelling is such a big part of the brand as well, because people love stories, and that's always a great way to bring everyone together around the same table. And then design driven, for obvious reasons. Then we had the situation at the very beginning where somebody wanted to include us in a whiskey book, and obviously we were super excited and wanted to be in the book, but we didn't have a picture. And we didn't really have a distillery at that time either yet, let alone the whiskey. We just had a really good idea and plans to execute it. So for the whiskey book photo, we briefed the photographer with these values and we said, can we please have a photo that sort of signifies all of this? That's the 5 founders. Apparently, it is very painful to run naked in a rye field. We've tried to replicate an image as iconic as this one, and we failed. This picture, I think, is just genius, and it's amazing how it doesn't matter what country, what context, who we talk to, it makes people smile every time, and it breaks the ice. Excuse the pun. But from these 5 adventurous nudist distillers, we've grown into a family of almost 40 people, and we all got together for the Kyrö Fest in August. And this is all of us now, outside of the distillery. And it's a fantastic family to be part of, soon with an extra member. And I really think that this is something we're building for at least the next 100 years, hopefully a few 100 years. Thanks very much. Any questions? Except when can we drink? Yeah. Go ahead.
What was the background of the founders before they founded this company?
Excellent question. Really random backgrounds. Our brand lead, Mikko, is a mechanical engineer and former stand-up comedian. He's done over 300 stand-up comedy gigs all around Finland. Our head distiller, Kalle, used to make biofuel out of seaweed and is also a very big beer hobbyist. Mika, our CEO, worked for JSK. So, like myself, he has a corporate background. And our COO, Mikko, he's the only one who's actually from Kyrö, but he used to work for the Vaasa-based company Wärtsilä before he came here. And then Joni, who's our salesman extraordinaire, currently in the States, opening our US market. He ran a logistics business in Shanghai. Yeah, so apparently these are the qualifications you need to make super premium rye spirits. Obvious to say, none of them had a clue. You had a question as well?
Yeah, how did you go about the pricing strategy for your different products, and did you make any adjustments over time?
Another excellent question. I'm surprised actually that we've managed to keep to a fairly decent balance between the different markets. That's usually the hardest thing. You can set a price in one market, and in Finland in particular, it's super easy because it's a monopoly market, so it is what it is. But for a super premium brand, it's obviously important that the price communicates the level of quality as well. And we've managed to keep it where we want it, even across some of the bigger markets in Europe. Our focus areas at the moment are Germany and UK. And in both countries, in Finland, it's just under €40 for the Napway bottle. In Germany, it's around 33 to 35, just because their alcohol tax is a lot more lenient than ours. And UK is more or less the same in pounds. So really, really happy with that. But we do need to keep an eye on it, and obviously not something you want to mess with, because once you drop, it's very difficult to climb back up. Yeah, go ahead.
What kind of trial and error have you had, like when you're making the product? So you said that it kind of sounded like when you made the whiskey, it turned out great the first time, and then gin, it kind of sounded like, oh, we made gin, and then it was the world's best. So were there any like terrible batches?
Yes, there were. There were many. Absolutely. And with the whiskey in particular, what makes it unpredictable is the barrels. Each cask kind of has a life of its own, and it depends on the type of, or the quality of the wood. It depends on the charring on the inside. And then we've had a lot of learnings when it comes to different sizes of cask. So the first batches, admittedly, were put into casks that were too small. Rye is so robust that the dialogue between the liquid and the wood is super, super aggressive. And if the surface area inside the cask that touches the liquid is out of proportion. You end up with a really, really dark coloured woody flavour, which is not nice. So then we've had to kind of keep tasting as it matures, keep kind of figuring out, okay, we need to shift these guys into bigger barrels and maybe not use the brand new ones, maybe use like previously used bourbon barrels, etc. So huge learning curve and ongoing. We're nowhere near perfect yet. But I think now the 5th release of the whiskey that came out just after the Kyrö Fest in August, we're starting to get quite close to the expression of a pure single malt rye whiskey that we were looking for. But we've messed around a lot. We've done sherry finish and all kinds of. And with the gin, I think there were 43 recipes of Nopwe before we landed on the one that we have now. So but like product development is always like that. You start with something and throw a little bit of something in and you try it and it's awful and you try to start again. And as I said, with gins it's really complicated because the amount of ingredients is so complex. And it's really weird. There's a few things like the cranberry. If you taste the cranberry distillate on its own, it's bland. It doesn't seem to have any flavor, barely any nose. But if you leave it out of the recipe, everything else crumbles. So there's all these really bizarre tweaks that you have to make. And it's super interesting, yeah.
And how big are the batches usually? Because you said like if you have to keep making them, like you can't be making huge batches and then toss it out with all this stuff.
That's another thing that we've learned a lot on in terms of just the kind of the stable production. So now obviously with Nopwe we have a very even quality across all batches and we can make really big ones now. And our bottle sales last year was 450,000 bottles and that was mostly Nopwe. So you can imagine that it's a very efficient system. We don't bottle by hand anymore, by the way. We have 2 very reliable machines. One is called Marco, the other one is called Pertti. So it's really, and with the whiskey, production batches for the new make are getting bigger and bigger, but you still then divide into different kinds of casks and you do need to keep an eye on the maturing process all the way through to make sure that the quality matches what you're expecting. It's a really fun place, the Whiskey Warehouse. Beautiful aromas. Our brand ambassador, Mauricio, who's originally from Mexico, he was there tasting different barrels with the head distiller. He came out absolutely hammered and he said that he's basically had all of the angels share and then some. So we don't have angels in our warehouse, we have a tiny Mexican. Go ahead.
Thank you for sharing your company experiences, and I just kind of curious about, so it happens, it feels that you guys had a perfect water and you had a perfect material to produce a really good gin and whiskey. And you know, like most of the companies, they target on the market with their strategy, right?
Yeah.
They know that we have good water, for example. We have the best water and best material for gin. Then they start producing most of the times, as I know. But like it happened, it feels like your company has had a really, let's say, a luck, sort of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you produced first, you tried first, and it turned out really well. So like in scientific way, like when we do experiments, we can try a lot of stuff and we can have a good result. But as a company, it's difficult because it requires a lot of money and manpower. So did you have a good backups or a fund from anyone, or how did you put it up?
I think the luck part is really around the big award that we won for Nopwe, because that then boosted demand so much that we could barely keep up production to meet it. And obviously that has made us very stable financially and then allowed us to do more trial and error with other products and be much more daring and adventurous. It'd be difficult to do that if we didn't have the backing of one very successful product. But saying that, I think luck is definitely an element, but one of the things that I've made personal note of is that if you really live by values like uncompromising, and everything that you do it as well as you can possibly muster, then chances are you will succeed. And there's a lot of startups where the focus is very much on the kind of financial success, and people are after a quick win. I think one of the really big things with Kyrö from the start was that we've no exit plan, we've no desire to sell out. This is really something that we're building for, you know, our kids and hopefully their kids, and sort of there's a longevity, which means that you really don't cut corners. You want super high integrity in everything that you do. And I want to believe that that works, because what kind of a world do we live in if it doesn't?
Question from Copenhagen. Can you elaborate on the cut on the bottom of the flask? Also, is the font copyright?
Very specific questions. Yes, it's a good. I'll take the picture of the bottles back on the screen so this makes more sense. The bottom of the bottle at the back has a little indent. Yeah, you'll notice that. And that's basically for the sake of the labeling. So the machine needs to know when it's in the right position when it turns the bottle on the conveyor. So it has a little indent. Even our original wooden frame had a little nail in the middle where you put the indent when you put the labels on. So that's there for a very functional reason. Quite a sharp facet or cut on the shape of the bottom is a design feature that's there because we really like the effect that from certain angles it looks like the bottle floats on top of the surface that it sits on. It's the really thick see-through glass underneath with the sharp facet. So purely a design feature. And I really like the contradiction as well of the kind of sharper bottom and then a really soft rounded shoulder on the top. I think it works really well. In terms of the copyright on the font, this is terrible. I have to admit, I have no idea.
The summer's been really hot, so that should affect the flavor profile, and the harvest has been quite small. Right? How do you work around this kind of stuff?
Luckily, we had deals put in place really early on so that we basically have guaranteed production. So to put it bluntly, we don't have to worry about it. And in relative terms, our quantities are still kind of small in comparison to some of the other producers of the kind of baked goods, for example. And the way we operate with all of the people that we do business with, it's always based on relationships. So the farmers that farm the rye that we use, we know them personally and quite well. So there's a lot of trust involved there as well, that we know that it's going to work out. But yes, it was a concern. And it's interesting now to see whether it has actually had an impact on the flavour of the grade itself.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember your branding being done by Vic.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, as a starting company, how important do you see it as going to a design agency to do all your branding for you, so you can just kind of focus on what is the core thing to start out, or how do you see that process?
Verklig has had a huge role for us, and they are still. I've never worked with an agency before with whom we'd be so close, and to the point that just this morning the head of the agency called me and said, "Oh yeah, sorry, this is really last minute, but we're doing this Helsinki Design Week event at our office. Can I please have some booze, like today?" But yeah, their role has been really big from the beginning, and I think especially given that branding and graphic design elements, they do require real skill and real understanding. If you don't have that experience in-house, get it somewhere else. You could not underestimate how important the kind of stopping power of packaging in any retail product is. Because when you're on a shelf amongst hundreds of other bottles, it really needs to do a big job for you. And I think it also needs to be kind of ageless and classic in a way, so that you get longevity. And all those kind of things. They sound so simple when it's done, but we all know that it's not. So I would definitely recommend finding a good design agency, yes. And then making them your buddies, like sort of bringing them into the family early on so that they don't go anywhere. So. Yeah, go ahead.
So you also produce the long drink, Longre?
Yes.
Yeah, you produce the long drink called Longre. So is there a story behind it?
Longre started as an April Fool's joke because lots of this limovina, ready-to-drink thing conversation was in the media at the time, and it's a couple of years ago. And we thought it would be funny to make one. And it was not really meant to be a permanent product. But we joined up with Laitila, and to this day it actually works so that we provide them with the base gin. It's Napue base, and then they create the final product with the cranberry and a little bit of rosemary spice. And then the face for the product for the April Fool's campaign was Aira Samulin. And the story is that Mikko, our brand lead, was in a pharmacy in Helsinki and saw Aira Samulin, walked up to her and said, but are you not Lenita Airisto? And she was like, no, I am Aira Samulin. And even despite his terrible blunder, she got talking to him, and because of her flaming red hair and the product, there was this beautiful, and we have this crazy picture of Aira in the middle of a field in a white nightgown with her long red hair, with the slogan, colour into the grey. And that's how the product was launched on April Fool's a couple of years ago. There's another April Fool's product that we did together with Berner. We made a hand lotion. So we called Berner and we were like, hi, we're Kyrö Distillery, we'd like to make a hand lotion with you. And they were like, didn't you just say you're a distillery? We're like, yes. But one of the things that we discovered when we talked to a lot of bartenders is that cocktail bartending is really hard on your hands. You deal with citrus fruits and egg whites and all these horrible liquids that really your hands are like at the end of the shift. And a lot of them were searching for a good hand cream so that their fingers would stay together. And most brands, when they approach bartenders, they give them shakers and branded glasses and bottle openers and all this kind of stuff. But if you think of it, it's more for the bar than the bartender. And we really wanted to do something that would be for the person themselves. So Berner was adventurous enough to embark on a collaboration project with us, and we create a moisturizer that has some rye extract based on the really retro tummeli recipe. And it's a really heavy farmhand cream that was basically designed for cows' udders originally. Not making any reference between udders and bartenders, but it's a very hefty, good cream. And then on April Fool's, we cycled around bar to bar in our cities, both here and up north, and gave all the bartenders moisturizer for their hands.
Just basically how the distilling time between gin and whiskey, like I know the gin has to sit in barrels for around 3 years, but how long does it take to make like 1,000 bottles? One batch of, yeah, let's say Napue.
With the actual distillation process, the longest part is always the kind of first stage when you're doing the base of the spirit, and you have to let the rye react in the warm water to make the distiller's beer. And there's a lot of different schools of thought on what is the ideal time for that kind of fermentation process. Ours is quite long, it's up to 6 days. And then after the 6 days, it's 1 day that it takes to do the double distillation and have the final spirit. With the gin, then you add the time that it takes to macerate the herbs, which adds hours to it, but not days. So that's more or less the time scale.
So about a week.
Yeah.
You said you had like 43 recipes or so. How quickly can you iterate on a certain product specification to see whether it's good and try a new one?
We had a really interesting process that we did with some bartenders just last year, or actually earlier this year. We wanted to develop some rye bitters, and we wanted to take bartenders on board from a few different markets to really get their input and expertise, because bitters are typically a cocktail ingredient, and again, you know, something that we would like to know more of. And from beginning to end, the product is now in Alko. It took about a year, and there was a lot of iterations, and I suppose, yeah, maybe made longer by the fact that we had so many people in the process as well. But it was really interesting to see how quickly we were at a point where it was a drinkable product. And then the rest of it was more just fine-tuning, both in terms of flavor, but also the production process itself. Because if the process is super complicated, it's not a viable product. You need to be able to streamline it a little bit. But we made two bitters. One is dark, super earthy, super smoky, and the other one is completely bright in color, which is super unusual in bitters that usually are more amaro and sort of black in color. And the feedback from the cocktail bartenders was that, especially for the pale bitter, it's brilliant for them to have something with such richness of flavor without messing up the color of the drink. So they can kind of add depth without murking it up into a muddy liquid. Yeah.
So I was thinking, because now you already have 4 products and you're making more on the way, as was pointed out like on the last speak. So is your strategy more about in the future, because we're talking about making for generations to come, is like always expanding the product portfolio, or is it just like, what is your principles about making a new product?
We have discussed this a lot, and obviously there's it's a lot of fun to own a distillery, because the temptation obviously is to make all kinds of things. And we were even talking about a YouTube channel at one point, saying, you know, let's make one that just is called Will It Distill, and then throw all kinds of crap into the pot and see what happens. We haven't done that. But yeah, you need to have some reason and logic, obviously, and portfolio strategy is super important. We've done a lot of these kind of, so we have the gin pair, the summer and the winter, and we have the bitters, the dark and the pale. The brand slogans are for bitter beginnings and bitter endings, because one is an aperitif, the other one is a digestive. So there is a dichotomy in the thinking, but more importantly, the products also go together. So you can actually make drinks with, so Goskwe pairs really well with the dark bitter, Nopwe pairs really well with the pale bitter. You can mix the whiskey with the bitters, and sort of, so we're trying to figure out a way to always have some connection between the individual products as well. It's very unlikely that any of our customers will stock the entire range that we make and only make drinks with Kyrö, the spirits, but it's still important to have that logic in there. And the other really defining factor is the rye. So we will never make anything that you cannot make with rye. And we're never going to compromise on the 100% either. That's a big deciding factor. And we're not going to endlessly produce products. So at the moment, each of them has a very clear role. The gins are the volume drivers until the whiskey is ready. The whiskey will be a similar size business to the gin fairly quickly once the stock is out. But the bitters are very specifically aimed at cocktail bartenders and more of a niche product. We're doing just a trial batch in Alko at the moment, more just to get feedback from the market, but in general it's an on-trade product, so bars and restaurants. So you have that kind of channel thinking as well behind it. Great question. Is it gin time? Yes. Thanks very much, guys. Brilliant question. Thank you. I'm going to mute myself now.
Thanks.
Okay.